us again. We're so happy to be here for another Career Alive with today's topic on career values and motivators. Super excited about that to talk about all that today. But let's start off by introducing ourselves. Anna, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Anna Gaynor, bilingual career strategist and certified HR professional. I motivate and empower you to become your chief career officer. I also write a lot about mindset on LinkedIn. I'm originally from Brazil, but I've been to the US for many years. And today I'm tuning in again from North Carolina. How about you, Teresa?
So happy to be here with you today. I'm Theresa White. I'm a career clarity coach, and what I love doing is guiding women to dive deep into what they're meant to do and empowering them to find a fulfilling career. I'm super passionate about it. I post a lot about career clarity, and I'm super excited to see everyone tuning in. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Stephen. Thanks so much for joining and supporting us. It's great to see everyone. I'm originally from Germany. I forgot to mention that, but I do live in beautiful Hawaii. Super, super lucky to be here. And let's dive into our topic. Oh, yeah, if you are tuning in, please drop and say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Stephen is already here from New York. Love it.
Yes, that's awesome.
So
And
yeah,
that's the only way for us to know that you are here. So if write something in the chat, say hello to us. We're happy to know that you're here.
yes. So today's topic are career values and motivators. And to me, that's a really important part of finding the right career for you. First of all, knowing what are the values that are important to you, and then how do you find a career that matches these values? So in my coaching program, Frustrated to Fulfilled, it's one of the topics that we dive into is how do we find your career values and what you need in your next career. Career values are super important because if you're in a career that you're in alignment with, you're more satisfied as your job, you're more motivated, you're more engaged, you share common values with coworkers. So all of those are really important. And I also want to explain why I often talk about motivators and values in the same bucket. Not saying they're exactly the same, but a lot of times if we value something, that also motivates us. So for example, obviously a lot of us are value money, but there's also other things, and we're going to talk about that topic a little bit later. Like one value could be, for example, to have flexibility. So if I value flexibility, then that can also motivate me to do my best work. Or I might value helping others. That could be a really important value for me. And then if I do have the chance to help others in my career, I'm motivated to do that work. So if you or let's start actually, Anna. Um, I know most of us, I think both of us were there, and I think probably a lot of people listening in have been in a situation in their lives where their career was not in line with their values. Do you want to start there? What happens if we're not in alignment with the values?
Yeah, so what I want to talk about now is about your work environment and your work conditions. Work environment, work it would be like something like competitions, like the vibes and the environment, emotions. So I'm gonna go over. I have some notes here, and I'm gonna go over those because sometimes we don't know what's wrong with our jobs, right? Like maybe you enjoy the tasks, maybe there's something else that but we don't really know like why every time I show up to work something isn't right. So this is what I want to talk about. So today I wrote a post about being a square peg in a round hole. It's just when you really try to fit in but there's no way, right? And if you start like you know forcing yourself to fit in that hole, like in the round hole, you're not going to be bringing parts of yourself to work. So here are some examples that I have. So for me, I can't thrive in open offices because I am a sensitive person and I pick up on people's vibes. I pick up on people's emotions. So there were days that I would show up in the office happy, smiley, and then one of my colleagues, right next to me was, dealing with a customer having a hard time and really upset, and I would start picking up that vibe. And then I would feel those feelings. So this is just kind of how I am. It's a personal thing. But companies believe that open offices foster collaboration, and I agree to some degree. But I know for some people there's a lot of distractions, right? Sometimes you are in an environment where putting your headphones on could be not really like a thing. So there are a lot of people walking by and stopping by, and you can't really get any work done depending on what you do. I mean, if you are in HR, that's that happens. So and yeah, for some people, even though you are in an open office and you can stop by and talk to others, there's a lot of distractions going on, right? So another thing, high competition environments. Let's say there's high competition among your colleagues. You are in a profession that the more you sell, or the more projects you finish and all these different things, you are the superstar, right? But it doesn't go along with your nature, because you are more of a person who likes harmony in the workplace. You like to be friends with your colleagues. You like to have that harmony. You like to have that support instead of the competition all the time, right? Another one that I have here that Teresa already talked about is flexible work hours. Let's say you are a caregiver, or you really need to be home, or there is a reason for your own health or somebody else's, right? And you won't thrive in a workplace that is very strict about their work hours. Like, let's say they have core work hours and you have to be there, or they work across, time zones, and you have to be available different times. So if you really need to be present in an office, but you also have to, find ways to be home, and that flexibility is not there, that's going to be a problem. That can be a value and a motivator for somebody, related to your work environment, like I was saying, or your work conditions. Let's say working shifts, for example. It's something that doesn't work for you because you have a hard time with a night schedule, for example. So these are just some ideas of work environment and work conditions, and why sometimes you may even be in the right job, but something isn't right because the environment. And for me, like, conditions are two of my top. And that's why I wanted to share a little bit with y'all, because here's the thing. You can perform. If you are you're a high performer, you can perform, but that performance you won't able to sustain for too long, because you're not in the right environment, right? So you're burnout and you're gonna break down, and that's not what we want here, right? So now, Teresa and I, we want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a work environment like that didn't fit your needs? Let us know. Say yes, or say yes, I can relate, or write whatever you want in the chat. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, so while you think about back into your whole career history, if you've ever been in a time where you're like, yes, something in my work just didn't fit who I was, and I really like how Anna said, like I felt like a square peg in a round hole. That's often the feeling that you get when your values are just not in alignment with your environment or your company. And I want to dive into how you figure out what your values are, because that can be, it's not as obvious necessarily for everyone to know. And there is one tool I'm going to share that it's a short free assessment on careeronestop.org. It's called the Work Values Matcher, and I'm going to share my screen with you. So when you go to careeronestop.org, the Work Values Matcher is the tool that's available. It's super quick and easy. And when you take this assessment, at the end, you're going to get, and this is just random results, they're not necessarily mine. I just wanted to fill it out real quick so that I can show you how that looks at the end. But then it gives you 6 achievement, relationship, support, independence, working condition, and recognition, 6 values, and it shows which one is your highest one. And we're going to look at a couple of different ones. It gives you an idea of what, if let's say achievement is your highest work value, what is it that you want to be looking for in a career? And also, what are the questions you can ask when you're interviewing or when you're looking at different companies that you might apply for? if to find out if they're gonna match what you're looking for. Anna, do you want to start by talking a little bit more about achievement, since that is your highest
Yes.
value?
So I'm going to touch base on achievement and then relationships because those are my top two. So for achievement, I'm just going to go over it really quick, but of course, if you know, just read it later because there's a lot of information. That website is really good. Achievement to me is more about like training, education, and learning organization, right? An organization that fosters the learning environment. People can make mistakes. It's not, you know, it's welcome to continue to keep learning for innovation, right? So, and you have the autonomy to get things done right on your own. So that's kind of what the achievement is, but of course there's more information there. And one of the questions that you can ask in a job interview, if achiever is your top one, which is my top one, is could you describe the opportunities for learning new skills and meeting new challenges? This would be, you know, or a question along those lines, just to have a sense of how the organization foster a learning environment. The other one I have is relationships, is my second one. So it's people from different groups. How do they meet and work together? Right? Because sometimes you have to collaborate not only with your team, but with people outside of your team. And I had to do this many times in pretty much every single job. So, do people feel safe and encouraged to build positive relationships? That's something that is important to me in the work environment. So, a question that you could ask in a job interview could be something again along the lines of, could you describe the opportunities for teamwork in this position? So, if it teamwork is important to you, or having an environment, you know, that has a good, you know, work culture, that you can actually, you know, engage with your colleagues, and there's not, like I was saying earlier, a lot of competition and all these different things. These are just like there's going to be a way more questions, lots more questions in that website that you can ask. But these are just some ideas on how you can use these two, you know, values and ask questions in the interview. How about you, Teresa? Independence and recognition.
Yes, thanks for sharing, Anna. I want to start by addressing Andrew's question real quick. If you get a copy of this, I don't have a handout to share with you today because it is all on this website, and I'm going to drop that back in here real quick. So when you go to Career One Stop Work Values Matcher, let me share my screen again. And you take this assessment. Oops. And you take this assessment. At the end, you get these results here. And at the bottom, you can go to achievement and learn more about achievement. And while we in this life expand obviously more on what's on this website, this is a really great resource. So I highly encourage you to go to this website if you are looking for the resources. So I think that's a better summary than any summary I can put together for you.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question. And I also want to say thanks so much, everyone, for sharing in the chat that they can relate and have been looking to find a new position, because it leads to burnout when you are not when your values are not in alignment. And it can be really heartbreaking to be in a situation where you just don't feel that you are valued, or your values just don't match. And before I talk, so one of my work values, or my highest one, is recognition. So for me personally, it's really important that I have a work environment where I'm able to bring in my own input into the day-to-day operations, and where there's career ladders available, and that there's incentives for high performance, like incentives for sales or production or whatever it is. I really value that if there's mentorship, so I can learn and can grow, and if employees have the opportunity to decide how things should be done, so that I do have autonomy about my own work. When I was in one of my previous positions as a recruiter, that was one of the values that was not in alignment for me. I'm a high achiever, and I had certain recruiting metrics that I was supposed to hit, and I hired like more than twice as many employees. It was a commission-based recruiting position, so obviously, since I hired twice as much, my salary was really good. But I worked like really, really, really hard to get there. And at the end of the year, it felt like no one even said thank you or appreciated that I brought in so many hires. And because I made more than what they had expected my pay plan to pay out, in the end of the year, they cut my pay. And while that hurt financially, it was more for me about that recognition piece. Like I worked so hard, and instead of being recognized for the work I put in, I got a pay cut. And was that was the reason why I ended up leaving my last position, because it was just such a misalignment of my values and what I needed in a career. So that is for recognition. And another value that's also important for me is independence. So if you are someone who values independence, then you want a position where you are empowered to resolve your own issues or complaints so that you are in charge of that, where you're really encouraged to bring your own input, where it's okay to take some risks as part of the work culture. And when you go to work values matcher to that website, there's also questions that you can ask in an interview to find out if those values are in alignment. So you could, for example, ask in an interview, how would you describe your supervisor's style with employees? Or how do you prefer employees handling issues and problems that come up? And by gauging the answer, is that in alignment with what you need and what you want? You can get a good feel if this would be the right workplace for you. Um, Thank you so much again for everyone to drop into the chat. Anna, what do you have anything else to add here?
No, I think you covered it all. I do have a question for everybody here. So we're gonna touch base a little bit about motivations, because their values and motivations. Values are things like I was saying. The work environment for me is it's like a value. Like I am a remote worker, if possible, forever if I can. Just because it's what suits me. I need a door, I need a window, and I need my workspace. Like it was hard for me to do the live last week because I wasn't home, and I need my setup. That's kind of how it works for me. That's how I feel creative. That's how I feel productive, right? So, and a motivator for me, in this case would be having the flexibility, but flexibility for somebody can also be a value, right? Value meaning think of non-negotiables. I'm not saying you're going to create a list of 30 non-negotiables, then you want all 30 things in the job, because that's, it's like sending your kids to school and expecting school to teach them everything. It's not gonna, we know that's not how it's going to work, right? Um, but think of maybe five non-negotiables that you have that you really need in the next job. Is it like good benefits? Is it, better pay? Is it, flexibility, remote work, So I have a question for you all. Like, what motivates you to do your best work?
That's a
Like,
great question. Yeah, I'd love
right?
to hear from everyone. If you can drop that in the chat.
Yeah, because we want to touch base on something really quick here, Teresa and I. It's like, for most people, motivator is money, right? And we all need money to survive. Let's be real here. We're not sugarcoating anything here, right? But for some people, money, yeah, it's a motivator, but it's not their main motivator. Like, if you have a child who needs, better health care, has, a disability or something, so having a better health care that is not going to cost you an arm and a leg, for example, that is a motivator for somebody. Having 4 weeks of paid vacation when you used to have one before,
Yeah.
that could be a motivator for somebody. Or having the ability to actually take time off, or not having a crazy workload, right? So, money is good. We all want money. And I'm not, like I said, not sugarcoating the truth here. But it's just like there are other things that can also be motivators for someone. Maybe for you could be, I don't want a crazy fast-paced environment where I'm doing the work of two people. And that's the reality of a lot of salaried, employees out there, meaning you don't get any overtime, right? So you work, 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 and that's the same salary you're going to get. So that's what I'm saying. It really depends, right? Motivators, maybe for some people, I have some notes here in front of me. It could be Like Teresa was saying, like you work hard, but you see that ladder. You can go up that ladder, right? You can, get into a leadership position, or you can learn. You are a learner, and, and that's what you want. You just want to keep learning and teaching other people and training. Um, for some people could be collaboration, support, a sense of accomplishment. That's a big one for me. Sense of belonging. I love this word and I love what it means. So to me, it's like feeling like I'm a part. I don't fit in. I am a part of it, right? Because fitting in it's hard, but you want to feel like you belong. You want to feel like you have that support. For some people could be, like I was saying, the harmony instead of a very competitive environment. Flexibility, structure, right? Because depending on where you work, if let's say it's a startup, you may need to come in and build that structure because they may not have that yet, right? So opportunities to use your talents, your skills, your strengths, and mold the role. I've done that before. I was hired to do something, and then because of the desire to learn and grow, I end up doing things completely different. So these are just some ideas. Teresa, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I want to pull in some comments here because I love seeing what you value and what is meaningful to you and what motivates you. So thanks so much for everyone who already shared in the chat. So Nicole says meaningful work and autonomy. Super important work values here. And I see meaningful work is, I hear that so much in consultations with like potential clients. One of the first things they usually say or often say is like, yeah, I just don't feel like I'm making a meaningful impact, or I'm not living up to my potential. um, and autonomy, being in charge of your own work and having a boss or a company that trusts you and hires you because they trust you to do your best work. I love that one. And Dahlia, thanks for sharing as well. Making an impact and meaning I can challenge someone to do something they once thought they could not accomplish. Love that. I think it's something Anna can relate to.
Oh, she is a sage too in the Sparketype. So yeah, Dahlia, we're there. Yeah, same thing.
Yes, love that. Oops, it's here. And thank you, Stephanie, for sharing this. True flexibility. Yes, not just you can start half an hour early or later, but true flexibility. And vulnerability and communication styles, leadership styles, all those super, super important. Thank you for sharing that. Autonomy, meaningful work, flexibility, 100%. Remote work, benefits, paid time off, opportunities for advancement, growth, and also flexibility. That's a big one for me personally too, having opportunities for advancement and growth. If I'm in a position that's a dead end and I don't see a path forward from there, I'm lacking motivation. Like, why am I putting all this work into if there's nowhere to go? So I think that is a lot, for a lot of people, really important. Feeling that someone trusts you to do your best work.
Yes.
Love that. Transparency. Yes, that's such a good one too. That you don't feel like you're just being put in front of like final decisions, but the company is actually transparent with their processes and their decision making.
Yeah, and as Stephen wrote, it's like from the top down, right? It
Yes.
starts from the top, and then people know when there's a big change coming. Then no announce the next day, and
Yeah.
then everything is happening, right? So yeah, opportunities for advancement. I would say that the majority of people they want to be doing different things. They don't want to just sit in a chair, stare at a computer, and do the same thing over and over and over, right? It's we always want to be learning something new here and there, sometimes even at your own pace, right? Like I'm doing this work, but I also have an interest, and that's another thing with career change. Sometimes you may be able to change careers where you are. You are in a place where they are in alignment with some of your values, but maybe you just need to take on different tasks. Maybe you like their benefits, they provide the things that you're looking for. But you might not just be enjoying the task, so maybe you can try to make a career change where you are. Maybe you can take on more different tasks, different projects, job shadow someone, right? So just some ideas there. Yeah, empathy, Andrew. Yeah, empathy
Yes.
is.
Such a big one. And I feel like this one, I wanted to pull that in because, especially with the pandemic, I feel like that is something that we value as a society even more now than we did before. Like, really checking in with people and bringing your whole self to work and not leaving your like emotions or your mental well-being at the door and just being a machine when you're at work. Be like, no, you're a whole person and there's feelings, emotions, and that's who we are as humans, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And I also wanted to I know we're getting close to the end of the time, but the last thing I wanted to share is that it's not necessarily like, if you say, a lot of times I hear this from people saying like, oh, I really want meaningful work, I want to be able to help others, and I want to feel I have purpose, and they see that as the opposite of making money. And it's not necessarily. It's not just when you that you need to decide between either or, finding something that feels meaningful and that you feel like you're valued and that is the right fit for you, or making money. It's really not a either or. In very very rare cases it is. Most of the time, when you find that career that matches who you are and where your values are in alignment, you do your best work, and that pays off. So you usually make more if a career is the right fit for you. So I really encourage people to get out of that either or thinking about, but think about like, what is it that you really need to do your best work? And then when you do your best work, then you're also going to get paid accordingly, because you're going to be thriving and your results will show that you're in the right place.
Yeah, so just to, like, you said something that, I love what you said. And I just want to add, that's exactly it. We are conditioned sometimes. I mean, I know I was, to always have this, and I love writing about mindset. It's just like to have this kind of, it's either this or that. You can't have both, but you can. It's possible. And like Teresa said, and if things are in alignment, you're going to end up making more because you are in the right path, right? So you have that drive. It's something that she always talks about. You are in a career that energizes you, not drains you, right? So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
All right. So, if there's any questions, please drop them in the chat. We have 1 minute left. Oh, thanks, Kim, for joining us. Kim says, that's where a great coach is valuable to help discover purpose and profits. They can go hand in hand. Thank you so much for that ad, Kim. And we appreciate all of you being here. Next week, we're going to be back here on Career Life next Thursday, where we're going to talk about career clarity. So we're going to take this topic of finding the career that fits a step further, and really talking about why is it so important to have clarity and how to get that, so that you can find a career that not just matches your values, how we talked about today, but your whole person, the whole person that you are. And I also have my career coaching program. I'm starting a new group coaching program in the fall. It's called Frustrated to Fulfilled. So if you're in a position where you are really trying to find out what is the career that is meant for me, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help you or share more about my coaching program and support you through finding that journey so you can find the career that is the one that's meant for you. But I'm super excited to come back next Thursday to talk about career clarity. Any
Yes,
last
thank you.
words of wisdom, Anna?
Yeah. I mean, thank you everyone for being here. We're going to reply, to the comments, and we love all the engagement here. We see, all the comments, and we really appreciate you. We really appreciate your support. And we'll see you next Thursday at the same time to talk about career clarity.
Yay! All right, enjoy your Thursday, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.